Imagine building an influencer agency. It does over £1 million in revenue. And you work from home. You literally put your pants on and you got all this cash coming in. But you want to sell your business for over £30 million. Have you got to make some changes? I think you do. Listen in. Hello, gang. Welcome back to the business broadcast, or hello, campers. I like to keep things continuity-led. My guest today is Jonathan Lundy, or not just my guest. JB's joined us. Welcome back, JB.
Hey, everybody. You going to do that joke about I'm not a statistic now?
Yeah, you're not. Well, you've got. What is the facts around podcasts, actually? How many get past 4? That's always interesting.
I think 80% drop off by episode 7 is the generalised statistic.
I think that's a statistic for most things in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
7 sessions with a PT.
7 years of marriage.
7 years of marriage, yeah. The 7-year itch, yeah. So,
where do we go from here? Quick.
We're both over 7 years in relationships, though, aren't we?
Yeah.
Me and Nat's been together 11 years, so I think we're over the hill now.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been with?
About 20 years.
There you go.
Bloody long time.
A long time.
A long old time.
It's not about sex anymore. It's about finding deeper relationships.
It's about comfort, isn't it?
Yeah.
A leg tickle on the sofa. Yeah, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, there we go. Well, JB has a business called Phonic Media, which helps people grow podcasts. And he was the one that really pushed me to get my podcast going. I'd done 300 episodes and they were doing well. We was in the charts, and many of you have been listening for a long time. And I just wanted to up the ante on the podcast. And I thought a co-host, producer type person, just to improve it by 1%, 2%, 3% and compound that over a period of time. And I said, JB, would you like to come on and do that role? And he said, yeah, absolutely, because I think he knew that would elevate your position very quickly.
Well, hopefully, yeah. I mean, if you like this video that you're seeing, it's my team that have produced it. Check out phonic.media.
Well, there you go. So that's what we're doing. We're going to ask the questions together. And I think sometimes what JB brings to the table is I'm doing
very bad jokes.
No, I'm doing higher level stuff. And I know there are people that are not as far in their journey that listen to the podcast, although I've always decided...
You're saying I'm lowbrow and you're highbrow?
No, but I believe...
Oh, he thought about it then, didn't he?
No, I do believe
it.
that you might ask some of the questions that I just think everyone might assume they know. But we're still a podcast for established people. We're not a startup show, but there are people that are beginning their journey that are thinking bigger, and we want to have them here. So
absolutely.
I think you do that very well. Now, sometimes on the podcast, I've had about 20 returning guests on the first 300 before you showed up. And one of them is Jonathan Lundy. He was on, but he's the first time he's been here on this visual format. Oh, and that's the other big change. If you've just joined in, we are now doing this on YouTube as well as all the audio podcasts.
It's going well on YouTube, isn't it? People are loving it on YouTube.
Yeah, and do you know what? What's really interesting is we're actually getting more listens on the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, since it's gone on YouTube. So no cannibalization here. So
yeah, that is interesting, because that's one of the things we often get with our clients. They're like, oh, we've already got a good listening audience, but what if we split the audience? And that is sometimes a risk. But what we found from your show is that there's a YouTube audience and there's a podcast audience. Absolutely. And the two are not sort of cannibalizing each other, which is quite interesting. Really,
well, actually helping, I think, the podcast audience.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing, before we get into Jonathan Lundy, me and Chuds, I got Chuds onto Acquired, which is another amazing...
You loving it, Chuds? Acquired?
Yeah, he's loving it.
He loves it.
Yeah, there's another amazing podcast that we recommend for entrepreneurs and business owners called Acquired. 2 guys run it. Amazing.
A bit like us, but they are definitely more highbrow than us.
Well, they're venture capitalists, aren't they? They're actually...
What do you normally call those people?
Vulture capitalists.
Okay, fine.
But they work for VC firms and PE firms, private equity and venture capitalist firms, and they discuss stories of really established, well-known brands: Amazon, Sony, Walmart, Costco, and I love it. Interesting. Chud's been listening to the audio version. And on their audio version, they say, if you're watching this visually, we're now bringing up the graph and all that sort of stuff. And he said, I'm going to go and now check out their YouTube channel. So I really do think these things complement each other. Talking about influencing, that's where our guest today comes
That's a lovely segue. That's a lovely little segue, that is. You took yourself off down a path and you pulled yourself back. Yes. If you don't get a podcast award this year, then I'm questioning the integrity of those awards. Maybe you've only got to pay 498 quid to join in.
Okay. So Jonathan, who came on a year ago, has got an influencer agency. So these are people that look buff, I suppose. Look like you, not so much me.
Bit like you.
What I want to become.
Yeah. How many 5Ks you on this week?
I've done 4 in 7 days.
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, it's only me clapping you, but in this gigantic place. That's good going, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've worked out on the other day, so I'm on a 7-day run of exercise. I mean, I can't wait to see the results.
I'm scared. If you turn up in the summer, 6-pack abs, ripped to bits, I mean, you're just a triple threat then, aren't you?
Why a triple threat?
Well, because you've got the intelligence, you've got the success, and if you have the washboard stomach
and
as
the
well,
humour.
The humour. You're a quadruple threat.
The personality. Well, so look, let's talk about this business. So he's got gymfluencers.com, gymfluencers.agency, and dogfluencers.agency. So without doing too many jokes, if you've got dog products and you want them content marketing led by influencers, he finds all those people for you in the gym space and the dog space, the pet space. Pet space, very recession proof, by the way. If anyone is worried about economic downturns, I absolutely know that the pet space is one of the most recession proof industries ever.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't matter what sort of situation you're financing, you're always going to look after that loved one, be it on 2 legs or 4 legs, aren't you, realistically?
Absolutely, yeah.
So he was on a year ago, wasn't he? Did he have all of the pet stuff then? I don't think he did.
Remember. I can't. I mean, I sort of vaguely remember the conversation, but I've done so many of these podcasts now. It's all just goes by the time I've finished. But I do vaguely remember it. So that's it. You want to tell us
the snapshot of where he's at right now.
Has he got team members, JB?
Yeah. How long has he been trading? 0 to 3 years. Estimated monthly revenue 50k per month. Team members, yes. This is interesting. If so, how many? 30 subcontractors. So this is where you'd be like, well, they're not really your team. So this is going to be interesting. Challenge number 1.
Them subcontractors are the influencers in this case. I'm not sure.
Don't slag off influencers too much because we could be in for a bit of the cash he's making.
No, I'm not slinging off influencers, but in this case,
this could be like another revenue stream. This could fold into the empire.
Yeah, you
could get people fat with your cakes
in the post.
Oh, shut up! All right. Challenge number 1 is: are you really knocking me for a shirt when you've come again, like Ken from the Barbie movie? Have a word. Challenge number 1: time management. Challenge 2: personal branding, which we said in the pre-chat before we hit the record button. That's quite interesting. Obviously, a guy who's in charge of people's influence, not being able to do his own personal branding quite correctly. And challenge number 3, accountants, exclamation mark. So that sounds like that's a proper challenge. Where do you want the business to be in 1 year? 1.2 million in yearly revenue, 6 agencies, 14 websites, 1 million monthly website visitors, and 100,000 agency members. What does the business look like when you're finished? Exited, building enough value for a brand or an agency to acquire it. Do you make the profit that you want? If so, what is it? Yes, approximately 30% net. I think he's the first person who's actually said he makes the profit that he wants to make. Since we've
very rarely comes up. I mean, this 30% net profit is very good, but as he grows his business, that will shrink.
And what do you do day to day with your time in the business? Future business developing, launching the new agencies, overseeing socials, sales, and content. And he's got some questions.
I think I just need to clarify there. When you've got a small business, the amount of profit that you keep out of your turnover is usually much higher. So when I was a kids entertainer and I was a magician gigging, I would turn 100 grand, and because I got tips, I actually made more.
Than 100 grand.
Than 100 grand, yeah. And what happens as you grow, then you get a PA and then you employ somebody, you need an office. And so your 30% net profit shrinks. That's what I
had my accounts sent back to me this week for the corporation tax. And I found that out. I was like, I've worked harder last year. I turned more money. I kept less. That's fantastic. Well done me. I've gone backwards. That's a year of my life I'll never get back. Anyway, it's always joyous on this podcast. Right, should we get him on? Should we get on Jonathan and find out about Gymfluence, see if we can get ourselves a little gig, a little My Protein gig or something like that?
Did we do what does he do day to day with his time in the business?
Yeah. Future business developing, launching the new agencies and overseeing social sales and content, just in case anyone like you wasn't listening correctly.
Sorry.
Shall we get him on now?
Yeah, let's do
it. Jonathan, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm great, thanks. How are you guys?
We are doing very well. I speak for both the buff gyms, as we like to call ourselves. Gym and gym. That works, doesn't it? So let's go through give us the little summary of your business in sort of 60 seconds, mate. Have we summarised it correctly-ish?
Yeah, pretty much. So it all started with gymfluencers.com, which is like a free-to-use health and fitness website like Men's Health, Women's Fitness, those type of magazines online. That's in 11 countries now, each country with their own .com essentially for news and reviews in that area. So if you log in Dubai, it'll be about Dubai gyms, and UK would be UK, of course. Out of that, Gymfluencers Agency launched, which is the influencer network. Under that, because of the system I created, we've launched Dogfluencers, Travelfluencers, Foodiefluencers, and we've got 11 more coming. One interesting one for you guys is Podcastfluencers. So hopefully get some sponsorship for you guys on that. And yeah, it's kind of just building it all out, building the team. A few things did change since I reapplied to be on here, with the subcontractors turning into full-timers a bit. So all of that to explain. But yeah, basically a free resource earning money as an affiliate and tenancy agreements, and then an agency earning money through influencer activations and marketing.
Just because I'm a bit thick, so I just need to completely understand this. Can you give me an avatar transaction of when someone pays you £1? What would you actually do as a deal? So
the agency, for example, the agency side, they would pay for a influencer to make a piece of content and to post it on their profile. So that could be one of the ways we earn. We have a mass gifting program where a brand can work with 100 influencers, and they would pay for the output of all of them promoting it on their Instagram feeds and stories. And then for the .com side of things, we earn money through affiliation. So if someone clicks a affiliate link from a review article, we earn commission. But lots of those brands then go ahead and pay a flat fee per month for banners, further editorials, backlinks, and all that good stuff.
Would I come to you like as a talent management and give you all my leads, or do you sort of work as a hybrid approach so they can do their own stuff and you just get them more stuff if you're the influencer?
Yeah, so the influencers literally signed to us non-exclusively. So we've got 5,500 influencers signed across our agencies now, and we basically promote them to our brands, or they kind of automatically work with some brands based off things we know about them. Like I mentioned, the mass gifting, if we know we have 100 vegans on there and it's a new plant-based product, they would receive it, know what to do with it, pre-contracted to do so. But we then also do have talent agents, such as football agents, who sign up all of their talent to us, and then we kind of give them extra work and extra options as we go along.
And so if, for example, if like say My Protein comes to you and says, right, we want to, it's the beginning of the football season, we want to get to young athletic males, would you go out to, do you create a like a campaign that's bespoke? So you might go, right, okay, well, Ashley Kane's got a really big profile. He's got 1.2 million followers, and do you sort of like handcraft it, or do you put it out to the influencers, go, right, who wants to pick up this one, and then you just do an equal share of the money with them? How does that sort of it work?
Yeah, we basically handcraft it. So if they came to us and said we want 10 influencers who are all male, 20 to 30,000 followers, whatever it might be, we would go into our network of those 5,500 people we've signed, and we would spew out whoever suited that brief. They would then select who they want. They would pay us. We then do all the agreements with the influencers. They complete and get paid based on a rate they've already set. So say a footballer signed up and charges £1,000 a post. We know that, and then we can add our markup on. We can bulk it into a package and win on some, lose on the others. Whatever kind of hits that package and secures us enough profit.
So using JB's scenario, My Protein is that a big brand for the gym space, is it?
Yeah, you'll find out in about 6 months.
So if My Protein give you £100,000, what, you'll go and put 80,000 of it to work and keep 20,000 or something like that?
Yeah,
just as an example.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about getting the leads? Are you getting enough leads?
Yeah, we do really well. I think I got very lucky because I owned the .com originally as an affiliate. I had a lot of into all the brands. I was already working with. My Protein we work with as an affiliate, for example, HelloFresh, whoever the first clients were, we already kind of had a contact. So when we said, we're actually launched this agency, do you want to give it a go? And then it kind of snowballed from there. So our first few clients as an agency were like HelloFresh, The Body Shop.
Is that how you got your first customer?
Yeah, so basically, we started middlemaning it accidentally. We were talking to all these brands and working with them on that sort of, written content and website space. And then they were kind of saying, oh, we hate influencer marketing. This agency's done this wrong. But then we're also talking to all the influencer and athletes at our event days and just, generally knowing them. And they were saying they hate brands because of X, Y, and Z. So we started middlemaning the odd one, making like literally £100 or whatever it might be if we were lucky, but setting someone up for a really good campaign, them getting paid, brand getting happy. And then literally 13 months ago, we split the two, and that's where it became .com and agency. And then I created a kind of CRM and a system and the payment portals to make that kind of effortless. So it works exactly as the brand wants it and as the influencer needs it.
I think people are genuinely interested in this, JP.
Yeah, definitely.
Really cool.
Just one of these sort of like the logistical things then. So are you going and doing an individual contract per deal with each of the influencers? So you know what their rate card is, for example, but then do you go, oh, do you fancy this one? Yes, we'll be in for it. Then you have to go back and say to the brand, here's the shortlist of 50, pick 20 out of these 50. Then you go back to them and have to do an individual contract per post.
Yeah, so they're pre-contracted the way we've kind of got it set up. So for instance, we would already have promoted their profiles to the brand. So say the brand wanted 10, we would give them a good selection of 50. They choose their 10. We then go to that 10 and say, here's the offer, accept or decline. Most of the time they accept because we know them pretty well. We know everything about them, from them joining. If somebody says no, we just give the brand an extra option. It literally takes 7 days to complete a full campaign. So if a brand wanted one influencer with one piece of content or 100, it all is done in 7 days, content handed in. So it's quite a smooth system kind of set up now.
What, from sign off to actual delivery of the content being posted out there is a week?
Yeah.
Impressive.
Just, it's just
as long as the brand gets to from the moment they receive the product.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
Just, I think what's really interesting for listeners, if you're thinking, oh, how can I sort of steal some of these ideas for my business? Marsh Farm, we use loads of influencers, especially around our big events, to get people to come. So we send them to Marsh Farm for free. And we say, can you just make some stories about it? The Father Christmas event, our pumpkin patch.
You get some quite big local ones, don't you? Yeah.
It works amazingly. And what I've actually found is actually the people that have got 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, they get, I think, better results and more engagement than the people that have got 1 million plus. Not always. We've got Mrs. Hinch. She comes all the time. But what's your view on that, just for listeners, Jonathan?
Yeah, definitely. So I think our average is like 18,000 followers or something on one of our certain campaigns that we do. So where a brand works with 100 influencers at once, with like a combined 1.8 million, and that is really the sweet spot. In that 2,000 plus range where it's friends who are actually following them, it's people who are very much alike. I think what kind of happens obviously is a girl gets out of Love Island, for example, she might be followed by 95% of people that don't actually suit anything she does or knows. It's just they've seen her on TV, whatever. But when it's someone with that 20,000 following, you can probably assume it's actually people who know, who relate, who like, because there's been no stepping stone of TV. It's just their content has connected. So yeah, definitely. I always say,
so what I'm trying to say,
20.
for small business owners listening, if you reach out to some of these influencers, for whatever your space is, you can get such good returns compared to, say, Google PPC or Facebook ads or Instagram ads. And I think people think, well, I'm just going to give them stuff for free and a couple £100. Like, I don't really want to do like something inside them. It's just, no, I'm not doing that. What we're going to do is give Zuckerberg £5,000 instead.
Give it to Larry and Serge because they need £500 more of your dough.
So, there we go.
And you get content as well. So content's the real win there is, yes, you can pay for a Google click or whatever. It's just, it's text on a screen. But if Mrs. Hinch is seen at your park, that's a great story you can use forever and clip it onto your social proofing, and content is king. So I always kind of like to push that route, which is what we do as standard with our agency. If you work with an influencer, they post it on their profile, but you own that raw content forever as standard to repurpose forever. So that kind of always helps with like an ROI and kind of lifelong wins. And the influencer knows that from day one. And then literally for years to come, you can rinse and repeat, put it on your website, do an ad with it, YouTube short, Instagram, TikTok. It can just catch wildfire with that content.
There we go. Well, 21 minutes and 44 seconds in, we now understand your business. Let's try and help you grow it. So we asked you your 3 biggest challenges, like we do with everyone that comes on the show. And challenge number 1 was time management. Talk to us.
Yeah, I think probably just like every founder, trying to kind of run in the hamster wheel. It's kind of where do I need to focus on per day? Emails are always going off, phones always going off, the Zooms that, like everything is all the time. I also have a family. I'm trying to get, fit again and be a normal human. And it's just kind of always that key thing of how do I always find the perfect focus per day at the right point? And maybe there is no answer for that because it's just, that's what we have to do. But I'm looking at my business as a whole thinking, if I take my eye off the .com, then affiliate earnings come down or traffic gets low. If I focus on the agency, revenue goes up. But then if I swap it around, then there's always a really hard middle ground of what is my big win here. And obviously because I'm building for an exit, I kind of don't just need to focus on revenue and profit. I need to focus on the brand and the traffic and the mailers or whatever. So how the hell do I do it properly and consistently?
Well, I've got some great ideas because something that's really crucial to that little monologue of yours there was I'm building for an exit, which does make the whole process much easier because we know what we're trying to do. But I want to just park that to the right and we'll come back to that in just a moment. And now I want to say there's some really good news here. This is a profitable business. You're generating positive cash flow. So you're not in a business that's on fire. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah.
So we're not worried about how we're going to meet payroll or how we're going to pay the bills. We should be now investing in management to operate the business so that you can grow the business. And if you want to exit this business in 3 years or 5 years or 2 years, the biggest thing that's going to reduce your multiple on your exit value is the lack of management unless you're going to stay in and run it. Are you going to stay in and run it or are you going to disappear?
Disappear.
So now the best investment that you can make into your business is an effective management team using the philosophy of E plus M equals S, which is, JB?
Entrepreneurship plus management equals success.
Absolutely.
If you're playing James Sinclair bingo, you can tick that one off your card.
Yes. So you've got to be growing the business, not operating it. You've got to be just focusing on bringing in more sales, more income, because we're working to exit day. Now, if you're scared about bringing in an MD and do you think that's going to hurt your costs too much this year, then bring in a PA just to take over all of the menial, rubbish, time vampire sucking tasks so that you can go out there and get the next big influencer in or the next big contract in, get HelloFresh to sign into a contract, because all of those things are going to help your exit value, contracts, big brands, residual repeatable income. You got to sack yourself from this business if you want it to be worth a lot of money. What say you?
Yeah, that makes sense. And with my hirings recently, so I had a lot of subcontractors, which when we mentioned that 30 odd, that includes, writers, graphic designers, developers, designers, everyone. What I've done recently is I've got a full-time editor and formatter for the .coms. I've got a full-time graphic designer, full-time web development. No, because I don't want an office in its sense, but they are employed by me, but just not in an office environment. But yes, all directly employed.
Why do you not want an office?
21 years, never worked in an office. Had to do a few months in and out of one. Hated it. I believe it limits hiring the best because then you have to go local or move. And I'm really happy with my staff. I think they're the best ever. And none of them would come to an office located here or there or anywhere. So I prefer working this way personally. And I feel like I literally have the best talent in, my graphic designer is in Vietnam, not purposely. It was just, he was doing little bits. His time was getting worse. So I said, well, do everything for me. That wasn't a conscious decision of paying less because I paid him a UK salary. So they're very well looked after. But I feel it would really limit talent Essentially, I want to have like a massive net to be able to say, if the best person's in Australia, then that's cool. If the best person's in Devon, that's great. If they're in Scotland, it doesn't matter. And obviously I hate office environments, so I feel I would be hurting my business rather than helping it with one.
I mean, I get that theory, but you told me you want to sell the business and they are going to want to meet the management team. They're going to want to know where the board meetings are. I mean, this is you telling me this. You know, if you want to have a lifestyle business and you just all, work from home, there's going to have to be an element of where is this, touch it, feel it, because that is how, if you're going to sell this to private equity and stuff like that, they're going to say, well, where are the team? If they're based in Vietnam, if they're based in the Philippines, and that is, I'm just trying to help you get maximum value at sale. And I think that needs to be thought about.
I think there is quite a confusing message out there about stuff like that, because I look at who has exited, and they haven't had a base, and they've exited for 50, 60, 70 million in some cases. One did have an office, but lost all the value. After they exited, the business plummeted, and I kind of look at it and I think, well, I've done this essentially as the only salesperson, as the setup, as whatever, with just this great little team botted about. Is that not super valuable to a massive agency out there, or a brand who owns, brands and agencies, to say, well, we've got all the team anyway. If you and your little team have done this remotely, and say I do hit the over 1 million this year and grow continually, is that not a benefit, do you not think, for them to say, God, you've done 1 million yourself with this setup, we can now plug this in and do 20 million, 30 million?
Yeah, maybe. What do you want to sell it for? What's your number?
If I can hit the targets in the next 3 years, I'll be looking at over 30 million.
What, to exit for 30 million?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've got some experience in this, but my experience would be, would someone pay 30 million for something with remote workers? Have you got
what are they buying in that instance? Yeah. You've got some contracts that sort of are quite flexible with influencers, and you've got some short-term agreements with, like a HelloFresh, for example, like Jim's saying, that the value for an exit is either the systems, the processes, the management team, the contracts, the software, and all that stuff. And it sounds like...
And that's what I feel I've built, is the software, the systems, the data, the database. I mean, if I have over 100,000 people signed, if I have over 1 million monthly traffic, it becomes quite appealing to, these companies who own a lot of, editorial websites and papers and whatnot, and then also brands who can instantly plug into that. The way it runs is nobody else does it, and I feel that's the benefit.
Have you built the software in the back end then?
Yeah.
From scratch?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
So did you get a big R&D? Did you get a big R&D tax rebate for that?
That's all in the process with my new accountants. That was one of the bad points.
Challenge 3.
Yeah. I mean, I just, from my experience, when companies get maximum value, even software techie companies, like why did Zuckerberg pay so much money for pre-revenue Instagram? It's because of the management and the people inside Instagram.
It was only 8 people, wasn't it, out of a little office in New York, and he still paid $1 billion for it.
I think it's San Francisco, actually, just
I think if I didn't have...
But I do, my experience, and I'll let you come in just a second, is the quality of the management operations team dictates the multiples that you will get for a business. So if you are very profitable, but there's no management there, but you're less profitable and you've got an amazing management team, in many cases you get a higher multiple because they want to buy into the talent and the team. And you just need to keep that in mind. And I do speak from some level of experience here on that.
Because obviously with this setup I'm doing, and I need to hire someone in sales and an affiliate manager next, that's who I'm kind of interviewing currently. Would you say if I could do this remotely with, the full-time staff, but hire a really good MD under me to look after them all, do you think that's a good stepping stone for me, maybe to try that, where there is somebody in charge?
If you go to sell your business and you say, I'm the money maker, I'm the MD, they're going to remove you and they're going to think, well, who's going to run this business? We are going to discount the multiples times net profit or times EBITDA because you're not around.
You're the key man, aren't you?
Yeah. So if you've built a commercially profitable enterprise that works without you in it, your business explodes in value. Period.
Gotcha. It definitely works without me. Like, that's the good thing now. I could drop down dead tomorrow and it would run. Luckily.
Does it? Because you said challenge number 1 is time management. I'm doing all these things.
Because I'm relaunching them all. So, because like I've got the .com makes, 5 figures a month in just affiliation. The agency is just sales and most of it's inbound or referrals or whatnot. My time is obviously I did the 11 more websites. I'm doing a dozen more agencies. I'm building more and more. But the current setup, if I just had the .coms and one agency.
So from a prospective buyer, and let's imagine they're private equity and venture capital, they expect that growth stuff to be happening. But so you're the role of CEO at the moment or MD. You're deciding on what we're going to do next. Yeah, that's the role you're in.
Yeah.
So you're not looking after day to day. Would that be fair to say? But you are looking after tomorrow's next income generation.
Yeah, the day to day is definitely slipping out of my hands now, which is nice. I'm almost out. One more hire and I'm done.
To get the maximum value for exit, which is what you said you want to do, the money maker that's next in line after you should be, not now, but in the next 24, 36 months. You've got to say, look, this is the moneymaker. Oh, God, they're so much better than me. They signed up this contract. They did this contract. They're launching this. They're launching that. And those people are out there, strong, effective MDs and CEOs. They ain't cheap and they've got elements of entrepreneurialism in them, but they are more business people, not just entrepreneurs. And that's like someone really effective. Imagine a good head teacher at a school. You find these great head teachers. We're going to, start doing Latin, or we're going to build a science lab, and we're going to extend the school, and we're going to go for this award. They don't own that school. It's just that they're very driven to drive that school forward to be the best possible school in the county or the country. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You got to find.
I was so nervous, I think, like I say, like the office world and whatever, and I'm happy with that, but I think I was nervous to think, God, do I need a manager in each section? Do I need this? But the way you've explained it, of just the best MD, bringing them in, making sure they understand it and outperform it, makes way more sense, and that suits, I think, the way I want to run the company.
Yeah, and absolutely. But the challenge you all have there is, community practice learning is how we learn best. Our children learn from their parents, because they're around them, and that's how you develop great kids. Children learning in the classroom with an amazing teacher that coaches them to learn that best stuff. Compared to a naff teacher, you can get completely different results from a teacher.
From the same kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I you just see it. And my worry is, how do you, develop and mentor someone from afar?
Would you say that the next move for someone like a Jonathan then is a great MD, COO, CEO kind of role that is more local, so he can, even if it's like a Spaces or a WeWork and you get together once a week?
From my opinion, I just don't think, when you're really coaching and mentoring, you've got to be with them all the time. Like, do you want to have a baby and have them living in Singapore and you living in London?
It sounds great.
And that's my view on it.
Yeah.
And as you get bigger, and if you want to get maximum value, I think that all that stuff's important. And I have helped and gone through this stuff, and I cannot emphasize how much these people that are buying with other people's money, so that's venture capital, pension funds, private equity, just are obsessed with the management before the profitability. Profitability comes in really quickly second.
Yeah.
They're not going to buy something completely shit, but it is all about management first.
What are your thoughts on that, Jonathan? A great sort of second in command that is a bit more. Where are you based?
I'm in Durham.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I need something like that, and I think I've tried to develop some of the people I've had with me already into that role, maybe, and it maybe just hasn't hit me like I need to do more with them or find some other people. I am speaking to some really good kind of like brand owners who are, helping along the way, and there are definitely great people out there. And I think,
you just want to work from home, and I get all that, and you're doing some great stuff with it. But if you want to turn this into an investment, you're going to have to see what those people like to buy. Because have you ever heard the phrase, "You are not your customer"?
Yeah.
It's a big thing that I like to remind business owners. Like, God, that's too cheap. But most people earn £27,000 a year and have got, as a combined family, £200 worth of disposable income a month. So you are not your customer. And in this situation, the person that's buying you will be snotty pension funds that have given money to private equity and venture capitalists. And just put yourself in their shoes. What do they want to get maximum value for your liquidity day, your exit day?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was kind of going down the line of if I could just hand it over and they could run with it. It is quite a swift system.
If it's a small thing, yeah. But like, they're going to say, well, who's writing the code? Where's the programmers?
So they're all with us, and they'd go with them. So I've got all of those.
But they're all over.
Just not in an office.
Are they international as well?
No, so web and development, writers and sales and affiliate will all be UK. And then it's just graphics and editor and a couple of writers that are international.
How big is this team as it stands at the moment? 'Cause I know you said you had 30 subcontractors this time last year when you had the chat. How big is the actual PAYE employed setup now?
So currently there are 5 full-time, including myself, and then a dozen subcontractors. But when I say subcontractors, that might be someone who's getting paid £100 once a month. It ranges, and I've tried to bring them all in. I was using too many graphic designers. Now I've got a full-time one.
So your coder, for example, are they UK based? Are they?
Yeah.
And how often do you meet up with the sort of the UK team as a squad?
I've never met a member of my team in 2.5 years.
Yes, I mean, I think an investor will struggle with that big time.
See, then this is because you've been through the process of this before, and these are the bits that people who are exiting don't talk about. How important, because again, the ego story of a sale is, James Sinclair has sold this thing, fantastic, but actually what they're looking at is like, okay, cool, he founded this thing, but actually what they're buying in your instance is that fantastic management team, the systems, the processes. So that's probably why, sort of like a Jonathan hearing it second-hand.
Yeah, Jonathan, if you do go for a big sale, so say you want to sell for 30 million quid, you're going to have to write CVs for all of your management team, and they're going to say, right, we want to meet them all together.
Yeah.
And then you're going to say, well, I haven't actually met them yet.
That'd be nice. We'll all do it together.
Yeah. Like they're going to want to do that, and interview them to make sure that, so just think about all those things.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I sort of doff my cap to you that you've managed to build £1 million plus business without meeting anyone, putting your pants on, sitting in the office, sitting in the lounge, not the office, and, cracking on and doing some good money. And you're obviously smart and stuff like that. But, I asked you what it looks like when it's finished, or JB asked you, and you said, I'm building this thing to exit, which is a brilliant, clear, definitive goal. So we're working towards that, and we want to get maximum value from this thing. And I'm just giving you my 2 pence on what will help you get maximum value. But we're not here to tell you what to do. You can carry on and do it as you like. Right, shall we get some questions? I mean, because I'm worried about time, and there's some good questions that you want to ask me. On the accountants piece, I know you've got 5 questions, but I'm just going to quickly skip over the other ones as well. Time management and personal branding. What do you mean by personal branding? This is you building a personal brand as well? Yeah,
so I hadn't ever posted on a social media platform the last time you and I spoke. And I was obviously knowing it was important. I've done well on LinkedIn. I think I started posting there 7 months ago. I get a lot of business from it, and I meet a lot of great people. But outside of LinkedIn, I do nothing. I know for the other James, the podcast setup, the stuff he does, I'd love to talk about that as well. But I do always feel like, what can I say to give value? Like, that's the only reason I'd post on socials. Like,
so interesting, isn't it? He's got influencer agency and has never tried to influence. It's just brilliant.
But it's like the people that make all the money in entertainment are the people you don't know, the producers, the behind the scene, the script writers, the songwriters. My view on personal branding is you absolutely have to want to be able to do it, to do well out of it. And I know lots and lots of multimillionaires, very successful people. You would never know who they are. And they're just not comfortable doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be number one. If you're not comfortable about it, just do something else. You're obviously doing okay. You've built a business. You're doing over $1 million in revenue. Hardly anyone bloody does that. Let's be absolutely clear. Most businesses are micro. But if you are starting to see the results on LinkedIn and it's growing your business, well, then maybe you pay someone else to be the influencer for your business. I always like telling a little story about a group of estate agencies. I spoke at their conference and the owners absolutely got the point of influencer marketing. Brilliant. They were YouMove. They're quite a big estate agency, independent estate agent. And I spoke at their conference. Well, we don't want to be doing Instagram stories. So they paid Carol Smiley for 2 years to be the influencer for YouMove.
Yeah. And
she done Instagram stories and videos and blogs and talks. And I thought, do you know, there is another way to skin the cat.
Yeah.
You don't have to, the CEO of Warner Music is not the influencer. We'll just do a deal with Taylor Swift and let her be up front. And I'm sure he's counting his pennies quite easily.
I have to be careful what I say. A friend of mine hasn't posted on social media for years, and he's just gone and raised 30 million quid based on the credibility of a pitch deck, and he's not done one single post. Didn't need it because, again, people like me and probably you, Jim, will go, "Oh, you got to be out there, post your brand." You just don't, not necessarily. But I think in your space, I think it's difficult to be growing what you're growing and not documenting what you're doing a little bit, to be brutally honest. But like I say, maybe the COO or the MD or the person you bring in, maybe it is someone who is an influencer, who is in front of a camera, is someone who actually wants to do it. Because I think James is exactly right. If you haven't got the inclination to want to do it, don't start.
No,
just don't. I think that was a light bulb moment. That made so, like, honestly, when James said that, I was like, that actually summarizes a massive reason to get the MD. Have that as the face of this business. Have them, be it if they're an influencer, if they're social, if they're good in front of the camera, they can do it. Obviously, all the Instagrams we've got for the businesses are, we use influencers for those, just nothing for, my holding company or like us as a business. So that is a brilliant reason to get an MD.
I reckon out of your database of 5,500 influencers or 100,000 influencers, there is going to be there's going to be a James Smith, there's going to be a body coach, there's going to be someone who's not only a great set of muscles, but he's actually got a real smart brain, and they could come into this
absolutely
and
that's a banging idea. I'm annoyed that I didn't think 100%. Of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally got a good idea in there. Worth me turning up, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that shirt.
What's your take, Jonathan? Just because I know we're sort of getting a bit short on time. What's your take on two mediocre, sort of late 30s, early 40s guys who are generally known for more business stuff, but they're trying to get fit as a YouTube series that My Protein want to sponsor? See what I'm doing here. What do you think? What say you?
Can't speak for My Protein, but you could definitely get advertising through us for podcasts, for YouTube, everything like that easily.
Absolutely.
Well,
numbers matter.
We're just about quality. We don't need to have advertisers, do we? Do you really think we should?
Yeah, but I think it would just motivate us, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then cold mornings. You're all right at the moment. Your four runs in on those cold mornings.
If it's Nike, we'll do it.
Yeah, Nike or nothing. Jonathan, if you can broker that deal for us.
Any of the Louis Vuitton, Moe, Hanson brands, anything good like that. Yeah. Depends.
I was thinking more Pedigree Chum.
Oh! He might have a point there, to be
very
fair.
Good.
He might have a point.
Right, I just want to, I know we've got 10 minutes to, we do our next one, but you've got 5 questions you'd like to ask us. Can you read them out, or do you want JB to read them out?
I don't think I wrote them down. I think
JB, you read them out.
I've got them in front of me. So, but we've got to play our serious question jingle, just because we've got it. So you asked 5 questions. Should I own a physical shop? Random one, but incredible for brand awareness rather than profit. Number 2, I can't seem to get myself out there on social media. I've still got... Yeah, we've covered that one. If you're not going to bother doing it. 3, how quickly did James hire and leverage himself in this manner?
As soon as I possibly could, I'll answer that one straight away because of time.
Done. The 4th question was, how did you get over the "this sounds too good to be true" question?
Well, it usually is. That is true.
That's that one covered as well. And question number 5, I'll play the jingle again because I've run out of time. Should I separate the businesses or have them all under one current company umbrella? Dogs, gyms, travel websites and agency plus products coming soon. What's best for looking for an exit?
That's potato. I need more time to answer that correctly. I wouldn't want to just give a flippant one on that. They'll be buying all of them. Probably best to talk to your accountant. My quick hunch is just be one big company and maybe have little sub ones off. Usually people have, like me, have lots of different companies because of risk. If we killed someone in our roller skating rink, we don't want that to happen at Marsh Farm, or if we poison someone in our ice cream company, we don't want it to affect our day nurseries. So there is sometimes just not financial, but also safety benefits. And if you're going to hive one off and keep the rest, that's a reason to have multiple companies. But if you're going to sell the whole shooting match, it might be better to keep it in one company. But I think that's a better one for a good accountant to ask that knows you inside out and upside down. If I had 6 hours with you, I think I could give you a good answer. But the first question fascinates me about a man that only wants to work at home. What do you want to shop for? Selling your dog food?
No, so the shop one is an idea I had a while ago, because obviously I'm getting a lot of website traffic now. So there's an easy plug-in as an online store to instantly start selling product that's such as supplements in the gym world. The idea is obviously that would be a premise that could have, podcast studios, other things in the background, but it would attract a lot more clients to us because we would be selling for brands. We would be doing it in the social.
I think you should do that, but think of it as your office podcast studio space where your MD operates from. When you're going to sell your business for millions and millions of pounds, you can say to these big investors, come and see this. This is us, and this is the culture, and this is the people. We've got 30 remote workers that work solely for us, but this is the internal head office team that's going to give you your return on your investment.
I think the Gymshark model is the one to look at here. Look what they've done, got to $1 billion valuation as a company and then went and opened up on Regent Street. And they've not done that really just for profitability. They've done that for footprint, for profile, for brand. But more than anything, the big thing that they've pushed is, and I'm sure you've been watching this very closely, a lot of the gang on your database are probably, sponsored athletes of theirs as well. The whole thing was about community. 300 odd influencers on launch day. They do runs from there every Saturday, don't they? So I think it's potentially a really good play. I think following that model, it works.
And also, looking at the Ben Francis story, there is no way that business was run remotely. He had all of his best mates, didn't he? And all of that team working from, literally from his spare bedroom. His house, growing that, building culture by having a close-knit community, which drives profitability in a business.
Their centre that they've just opened up in the Midlands. I used to go to the gym next door. It's unbelievable, this place. It's a gigantic warehouse, but like a good quarter of it is cut off just for the internal staff gym, because again, culture, community.
Yeah, so this is, success leaves clues. Just one other quick point on, looking at this holistically from all of our listeners. I think Ben Francis and what he's done with Gymshark is just a textbook proof of how good influencer marketing can be for your business. Because that's really, what got that bloke going, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
He's super smart, isn't he? I've watched
He
him.
is.
He's very quiet and subdued, isn't he? But he obviously knows how many beans make 5.
Yeah, and he was. You look at a couple of the fitness brands that were sort of birthed at the same time. You've got Grenade, and look at what's happening. Alan Barrett at Grenade was all done via influencers and sort of standout marketing pieces. Gymshark, exactly the same. You look at what Hormozy is now doing with all of his gym stuff. He's built brand. He's drawing massive attention. But again, if you look at all of those businesses, actually, that's a really interesting point. So what Hormozy's built, what's he done now? 10 years later, he's just built and bought a massive office block for his 50 odd staff.
I think it's very
ready
important
for valuation to sell for $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, just talking about him as well. Me and Chuds often go on his Instagram profile and just look at his arms.
Yeah, you're getting there, though, aren't you? You're like the Hormozy of Rochford.
I don't know how he does that. I mean,
I know how he does it.
looks,
I know exactly how he does it.
and that's the end of that podcast. That's the end of this show.
Maybe forever.
Yeah, we're just saying he works out and he's
He works out
getting
very
no
hard.
help.
He works out very hard, and he must rest to recover that well, I would say.
Exactly
It recovers
that.
very quickly.
Well, there you go, guys. Thanks for listening to the business broadcast. Don't forget, Nige, who is producer number 2 in the background, taking all notes. When are we launching our tickets to come and see this podcast live in London? Anytime soon. Nice, loose deadline there. Pardon, when? Yeah, we're waiting. We're going to be doing it at the Leicester Square Theatre. Tracy, my PA, is organising that. But please keep an eye on our website, jamesinclair.net, because for about 30 quid, you can come and see me and JB live, and we'll make it less stand-up-y and more about...
Talking of community, we could do like we could get Jonathan, we could get him to do like an influencer-style meetup. You could run a jog
Yeah.
around Hyde Park.
Yeah, maybe.
Do a little workout, then we could do the show.
But I'm looking forward to doing this because I think
great
it's
fun.
going to be great. Yeah, 30 quid. That'd be roughly our tickets price, and it's going to be good right in the middle of London.
Before you go, Jonathan, because I know we've still got you hanging on the line, where can people find out more about the brilliant stuff that you're up to? Because it sounds like you're running something very, very interesting or moving at pace. If people want to follow the journey, obviously they've got to hunt you down on LinkedIn if you bothered to post on there that day. But where can they find your websites and stuff? Where's the best place to go?
Yeah, gymfluencers.com, and then gymfluencers.agency, and then dogfluencers.agency, travelfluencers.agency, anythingfluencers.agency.
Love it. 80% of consumers that purchase something after 80% of consumers purchase something after seeing it recommended by an influencer. There you go.
I agree.
Find that
Well,
on the website.
it's the modern tell your mates, isn't it? There's a great new restaurant in the town.
100%.
John, thanks for being on, mate. By the way, you're a smart cookie, and I just want to just one more time tell you, when you're exiting your business, it's all about the management team to get the maximum valuations. Don't forget it, my friend.
Thank you.
There you go.
You have some great people come on, don't
We do have some
I mean,
good
he's got some DNA, good DNA,
Yeah.
isn't he?
I wonder what he's going to go and do.
Do you know what teaches me something? 1.2 million of revenue in your pants, in your house, no office.
Do you ever look at it and go, oh, I could do a bit of that?
Yeah, I just don't believe it works to go to the next level.
Well, what is the next level? Where are you trying to get to?
Well, if he wants to get 30 million quid,
Yeah,
that's going to be very difficult.
in his pants.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you ever?
If he wants to sell it for 2-3 million quid, possible. But
like on a Saturday,
Yeah.
like on a Saturday, and you see these like influencers and they're kicking back, got their feet up, they're doing the coffee, like, oh, I've got the coffee shot on their Insta stories, and you're haul-arsing over to Lakeside, or you're going over to check out your
they're all
meerkats around
working
M25.
much harder than you think. So
Did you never look
when
at
I
it
was
and
an
go,
entertainer, I had some good high profile. Stacey Solomon was one of our clients, and she was one of the smartest business, commercially savvy, hardworking people I ever come across.
She's was she one of your entertainers?
Well, no, I entertained for her children, and
Oh, okay, fine.
yeah, and she was smart.
Yeah,
And
I can see that.
She's a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And she was, she had management and employees, and
This is after X Factor.
Yeah, after X Factor, but she's even another level now.
Yeah.
And anyone that can stay in entertainment for more than 5 years,
Yeah.
and she's like coming up to 20 years now. She'd be 40 soon, and she went into X Factor at 18. To stay in the game, you got to be smart.
That's what they'd be saying about us in 10 years, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
After that live podcast show coming in April. Check the link in the show notes so you can find out more information about it. We'll be back for another episode soon. Cheers for listening.
Thanks
Ta-da.
so much. Bye. If you'd like that conversation, check out this conversation by clicking here, and subscribe to the channel by clicking there. And also, don't forget, we bring out a great new podcast for you to watch every Sunday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. See you on the next one. Don't forget, hit subscribe.